Greetings from UNHCR Turkey office. This is Selin Ünal. I'm the spokesperson. Well, I'm here to talk about the refugee situation in the world and also in Turkey. As you may know, every year we are releasing a report showing the refugee and asylum and forced migration trends and statistics. It's called Global Trends Report. The number of people forced to flee their homes has increased every year over the past decade and now stands at the highest level since records began. Well, we predicted in last year's Global Trends report that the question was no longer if forced displacement will exceed 100 million people, but rather when. Unfortunately, the when is now, because 2021 marked by new conflicts and flare-up in existing conflicts. Although the numbers are showing the end figures of 2021, we unfortunately witnessed much more forced displacement in 2022. Ukrainian crisis, as well as situation in Africa, Afghanistan and beyond, made this number unfortunately reach to a very tragic milestone. Today we are speaking of 100 million people being displaced internally and externally from their houses, from their countries. This is a very tragic and warning figure for all of us, as being in Turkey at the moment, which is the largest refugee hosting country for the last few years. Speaking about the refugee situations, we all know that every refugee situation needs a political solution. Unless it is there, meaning either the international community comes together, finds solutions for forced displacement, extends humanitarian response to them, increases funding needed for those situations, we unfortunately will continue seeing these numbers being increased every year, meaning this terrible trend will continue, which actually no one, as UNHCR, we don't want this to happen to, because we're speaking about 100 million people, of whom majority of them are women and children. Speaking about children, representing almost half of refugees around the world, also in Turkey, we are speaking about providing them normal life for them to live as children. Well, in addition to the conflicts and war that is taking place in the world, we are also witnessing food insecurity, inflation and climate crisis that actually adding on people's hardship who had to flee their homes. This is also putting additional burden and responsibility on countries that are hosting them, like Turkey. Turkey, as we know, since 2014 has been hosting the largest number of refugees worldwide and has a comprehensive legal framework that enables for people who are under international protection or who are in need of international protection to have access to basic needs, including education, health, and livelihoods, and social services and support from the local municipalities, local administration. UNHCR in Turkey is working in cooperation with those municipalities and ministries, as well as through our partners, and we are trying to reach out to the most vulnerable through jointly implemented plans and programs. We are co-leading the 3RP, as we call the Refugee Resilience and Response Plan, together with the UNDP and the other UN partners and agencies, humanitarian agencies, NGOs, local and international, and governments are also part of this. Through this plan, every year we are sitting together and trying to forecast the needs that refugees and asylum seekers and people forced to flee and in need of protection, what they will need, and try to see their, forecast their needs and try to implement some projects and programs towards them that would, help their needs in a refugee situation. Not only them, we also include the most vulnerable local populations, because in Turkey we are speaking about some 4 million people who are living together with the local people, meaning sharing the needs, sharing the services available for them, for both of them. So response needs to include refugee response, refugee needs, but also includes to support the local society and also local administrations. As we are speaking about the World Refugee Day, which is a day that we actually remember the resilience of millions of people who had to flee their homes, millions of refugees. They are having a lot of difficulties during their flight. And countries like Turkey that are hosting in large number of refugees and asylum seekers, people in need of protection, need definitely much more support from the international society. Refugee situations should not be the responsibility of only a few countries. That is because they are, neighboring those conflict zones or so forth. This needs to be a solidarity that has to be shared by international community, by all countries. Meaning, resettlement quotas can be much more than this year and previous years. Although this year's Global Trends reports is showing us a little of glimmering hope as resettlement and refugee return numbers is being increased a little bit more than the previous years, still need is much more given the number and volume of displacement over the world. As we speak this year also that 100 million people being displaced, meaning Ukrainians, Afghans and Africans and beyond, many more people from different nationalities are in need of international protection. We need much more solidarity and responsible sharing from the international community. For Ukrainians, we have seen a very overwhelming and positive response, but we have to highlight that anyone who seeks international protection, who is in need of asylum claim, has the right to do so. Refugee or human rights is not something to be open for discussion. It is a legal and also moral obligation that all countries has to obey and provide protection for those in need. People, whoever they are, wherever they are coming from, this international protection and seeking asylum is not a question of where those people are coming from or going through, or it does not depend on their nationality or mode of travel. So international protection and seeking, right to seek asylum, right to claim asylum is a universal right for everyone. Every year of the last decade, we unfortunately have seen that the numbers of people displaced, forcibly displaced, has climbed. So this is very alarming for the whole world. This is also making us to remember that it is an international it has to be an international shared responsibility. Like countries like Turkey, who has been hosting a large number of people in need of international protection, or other countries in the region, in the world, needs support much more than ever today.